Failure. That word's been thrown around on this channel and in my life quite a lot, but I wanted to take the time on this, that would be the 20th of my review videos, to contemplate the idea of failure, because in the process of constructing the previous 19 videos, I have experienced quite a bit of said failures. Celebrate those failures, bring them to your attention, and share the lessons I learned along the way, as well as be able to reuse those assets, at least justify in my mind planning and shooting those specific reviews. There are 4 things I want to bring to your attention here. And the first one we'll begin with is the Miranda RD. This is a camera and a review that I kind of teased in the Lumo light meter review. And eagle-eyed viewers might even recall in the worst vlog of all time video that I posted on the second channel, you can check that out up there, that I teased the Miranda RD review as unusable because I swapped the film out into the Minolta XE7 to finish out the roll. Problem is in shooting the Miranda RD, I realized that the camera model I have is not the best quality. Everything felt very dim and soft focused. I didn't feel truly inspired to shoot with it. And I also felt like it was a bad representation of the Miranda brand as a whole. So I decided to kind of table that, because mixed with those things is the fact that the Miranda brand does not really perform well in any kind of SEO situation. And sure, I could label it something like unique, underrated 35mm SLR that you've never heard of. Given the quality of images I think I was taking with it, that would not have really gelled well. Because typically if you say like, oh, this is a great camera, you should have good images to back up that claim. As one myself who doesn't really make a habit of taking good images, then yeah, it's kind of hard to make that make sense. So we're kind of left there with it not really panning out, and then leading it ultimately to swapping out the roll. And because I didn't reset the frame counter, I wasn't sure what frame I was at, so I kind of had to hot swap the roll, which means I fried most of the images that I took with it. Even if they did come out at all, I will never know. I have 2 images from the Miranda, which I will feature here. Both of them are not very good. One is very poorly composed. The other one appears to be out of focus and or just really muddy, and it's really hard to tell. The next one, the Praktika MTL5. Featured here, this is probably one of my least favorite cameras. I don't really have many kind things to say about Praktikas. I never really have. In making the video, I was hoping to try to address some of those claims and maybe see, am I missing something? Is the process of shooting this like gonna change my opinion? And it didn't, but there was a thing I noted. When you fire the shutter, after you do so, there's a little indicator that pops down letting you know that the camera needs to be advanced. And when you advance, it goes away. And you know what? I think that's kind of clever. I think that's kind of nice. So props to them for doing that. The video, I'm going to put it up on my second channel actually, so you can check it out there if you want to. The purpose of that review was to talk about using it, what the experience was like. The images weren't entirely important in my opinion, but it does really benefit the overall story to be able to tell the quality of the camera mixed with the images you were able to take with it. Because if you don't like the camera but you still take good pictures, is it a good camera? Or if you really like the camera but you take bad pictures with it, is it a good camera? It all comes down to a kind of a feel thing. This is more of an existential conversation to be had there, which I feel like is kind of compelling. I'm of the belief that if you have a camera you like, doesn't really matter what it is, especially in terms of film, because the camera, the hardware itself doesn't matter as much as the film and as much as your perspective and your ability as a photographer. So whereas I can say that this is a poorly constructed camera and it feels cheap and they've aged poorly, that is all very true, but it can still be your favorite camera, and that is also true. The two things are not mutually exclusive. Now, the problem with this is that as I got done shooting with it, I went to rewind the film. And as I was doing so, the rewind button just disappeared into the bottom of the camera, and I ended up tearing the film off into the camera. Yeah, so I've not seen the quality of the shots yet, and I really doubt that anything will come out at all. It's just really not worth kind of waiting around at this point. And if images do come out, I might remedy my thoughts on this. This might be the best camera of all time, but it did still break down at a kind of crucial interval here. So can't really recommend it. Can't really say it's a good thing. I think depending on where you're living, it might make a lot of sense to buy one, and more power to you. But in ye old American market here, I would argue the juice ain't worth the squeeze. I could very well be wrong, but in my experience, there's better things out there. So, a bit of a failure on my point. The lesson to be learned would be don't shoot with Praktikas. And if you do, make sure it's a working one or something like that. Now, the next lesson is actually a camera I really enjoy talking about and shooting with, and that is the Instax Mini 9 here. This is probably one of, if not my favorite, instant film camera out there. It has just been a lot of fun to shoot with. I was really excited to talk about it. Unfortunately, I wanted to talk about it on a day which was pouring down rain and wind, and a lot of water got onto the lens I was shooting with, and then I was kind of sidelined when somebody approached me. I was like, hey, are you taking pictures? I was like, no, I'm taking a video. And he's like, okay, great. Do you want to take pictures of me? Kind of led into this impromptu portrait session, which was great. The way that these videos work, the way I record them, which we'll go into the next failure, but the way I record them is just kind of off the top of the dome. I've got a few like talking points. I maybe have like a little notepad with some things, dates and stuff that I want to make sure I don't mess up, but a lot of it's just my energy, you know, how am I feeling that day? Did I get enough sleep? Did I eat something? Whatever. And sometimes it's fun because I'm able to like kind of construct these really interesting comparisons or, you know, talk about a lot of different things. Other times though, I get thrown off my game a little bit and I kind of just wrap it up and decide, not today. This was one of those instances where I didn't really have a good idea of the structure of the video, and I don't really even think that there was a way in which I could tell that particular video in a meaningful way. And then beyond that, it was completely derailed by this impromptu portrait session. Some kind of sign from beyond telling me, not today, Chief. Now, to get really meta here, the fourth and final major failure worth kind of talking and reflecting on is actually this video that you're watching right now. And you're thinking, how could that be? The production quality is so high level and it's so well done, and how could any of that be even remotely close to a failure? Well, this is the like 7th time I've recorded this video. Between interruptions, audio issues, the camera dying yesterday, the other shot yesterday where it was just my crotch. This has just been a video that's taken a really long time to put together. There's a passage in the Tao Te Ching, failure is an opportunity. And while I might not have always had those specific words to live by, it's always been a sentiment that I've carried with me. This video, for instance, did take me about like 6 or 7 times to record. I kind of lost track. But after the first time I recorded it, I thought, man, this is a really dumb video. I was like, this is dumb, nobody's gonna watch it. But then I still recorded it again once I realized that it wasn't gonna work. And then I recorded it again, and I recorded it again, and I recorded it again, and ultimately, we're here. And now this might not be the best iteration of this video. There probably is a version of me somewhere in the multiverse that has scripted out a piece and has like an actual set that they work on. And, you know, I could change and tweak all these elements and like have an actual editor take care of stuff, for lighting and better audio quality. All of these things could be taken care of, right? How do we get there? You have to try. You have to like put in effort. There has to be proofs of concept. And I think that's a better examination of these review videos as a whole. They're proofs of concept. It's a thing that I want to do. It's something I want to create. It's a way I want to convey the quality or lack of quality in these old cameras. Things that I think are very important, very valuable, little tidbits of info that I think is worth sharing, worth commemorating, worth appreciating, and finding ways in which to communicate that could be more fun and enjoyable than just me sitting here and being like, this camera was from this. I find those informational videos very helpful. But at the same time, there's so many of those out there. It's a very saturated, niche, saturated market. So I wanted to try something new. I wanted to shake things up a little bit. And there's going to be a lot of failures. There are many more than 4. Even if, at the end of the day, these videos perform poorly, oh well. I'm going to take my licks, learn from those things, and roll that onto the next thing. It's not worth getting caught up in the presence of failure. It's not worth really sinking into that feeling and hoping for the next time to be complete perfection, because perfection doesn't exist. There's always going to be some variation of a failure, whether it's how you feel about the overall product, whether it's how people experience it, how they don't like it, how they do like it, what they take away from it. Nothing is ever going to be perfect, because perfection doesn't really exist. You just have to accept what it is, learn from it, and move on to the next thing. I think that's kind of where I'm going to cut today's video at. Just the acceptance that one has to kind of achieve within oneself is the most important thing I can really recommend to anybody out there. I think I've spoken enough about my particular failures for today, but tomorrow's a new day, and I'm sure it will be full of more new failures. That'll do it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got many more reviews to come, many more lessons and things like that to share as well. So subscribe if you enjoy the content, like the video as well, and I will catch you on the next one.